Michael took the immersion water heater out of the mug and made a strong tea. He sliced some sausage and bread, took out the box of refined sugar. Dinner turned out to be royal. Johnny, come on, don't be shy. Go on, eat while you're still young, he said to the man sitting across the table. I'm not shy, John answered. He took the mug and sipped carefully from it. I don't understand why your tea tastes so good. It's all about the water. I don't use tap water. I go to the spring, the old man explained. The gatehouse was warm and cozy. It seems to be nothing special, a typical bachelor's life, and yet it was good. Each thing was in its proper place. The table was neatly covered with the tablecloth. There was a made bunk in soldier's way, in the corner of the room covered with a humble blanket. Outwear hung on nails, but on a hanger, and by a small well-built stove there was wood rack with birch logs. The gentlemen finished drinking their tea, the old man lit a cigarette, and the young man started placing pieces on the chessboard. Michael sat down and grunted, rubbing his hands. Today I'm playing the white ones. John didn't mind. He liked to enjoy frosty winter evenings in Michael's trailer, the trailer of the watchman of the garage cooperative, who is a kind man who never refused John a bed for the night. A year ago, John, a tramp, an alcoholic, was wandering around in search of any kind of shelter. It was harsh winter back then. The frosts were so cold that the birds froze to death on the fly. And John, who was a homeless man without kith and kin, would have suffered the same fate, if it weren't for Michael, the moon-haired old man, who saw a stiff young boy dressed in inappropriate for the season light clothing, drag him to his gatehouse, where he gave him hot tea, fed him, and laid down on an old squeaky cot. In the morning, Michael handed the boy a sheepskin coat and patched felt boots. Here, I gave you these. John's heart overflowed with gratitude for this kind man. Michael smiled. Anyway, don't be afraid. You should come. Can you play chess? I can. I used to go to the chess club as a kid. Oh, that's great. I'm on duty every night. After all, it's a pension supplement. It's a long shift, so I play chess by myself. John came the next night. Michael treated the young man with strawberry jam and was watching closely as John ate it with delight and squeezed his eyes shut with pleasure. You're drinking, aren't you? I'm old man. What for? You're such a young, strong man, and you're getting your life derailed. John was silent. Indeed, he hit the rock bottom. He, in fact, had been a completely normal person, hard-working, cheerful, good-looking, a happy one. The young man's parents died in the same year, one after the other. First was his mother, and then his father, who was pining for his beloved wife. At the funeral, a painful thought passed through John's mind. If something happened to Anne, how would he live without her? An icy chill ran down his spine. John could not imagine his life without Anne. They had been together since school and got married without even doubting their feelings. Anne was meant for John, and he was meant for her. The day his wife told him she was pregnant, John was on cloud nine. Married couples spent all their evenings dreaming and arguing. They wondered whether it would be a boy or a girl, thought of beautiful names for their babies. They looked through some catalogs planning the renovation of the nursery. John was distressed. It was a long time to wait, a whole 7 months. This man was already madly in love with his future baby. The baby was never born. Anne was run over by a huge hearse-like black car. The driver was a wasted boy born with silver spoon in his mouth, who decided to drive like a wind around the city. He just did not see Anne walking on a crosswalk. The man hit the brake only when a terrifying car dragged the woman's body a full dozen of meters. Anne was still alive for about 14 minutes. Doctors fought over her, trying to save. Nothing worked. The little unborn baby died with her. The murderer, a son of a powerful government official, managed to get off easy. The case was hushed up quickly. It was frightening to look at John. He didn't even remember drinking his first glass of vodka. Didn't even feel the burning bitterness of this cursed potion. Then came a little relief. A hardened heart softened. Tears streamed down the widower's cheek. He realized that now another life had begun. There was no other way in a drunken binge. John was fired. He didn't care anymore. His new friends were binging him vodka regularly. They drank a guy for a week and then slipped him some documents, which John signed without even looking. The kind benefactors handed the drunk man a few tightly bound money packages and threw him out on the street with a good kicking in the back. John fell into a puddle, got up on his fours, and crawled wherever the road takes him. Waking up in some ditch with a terrible headache, he looked inside the bag. No money missing. It was enough for a hangover. John, being dirty, with lost human face, wandered to the store. The sales lady threw a glance at the homeless man with disgust, and took a banknote, trying not to touch John's hand. She looked at it and called the guard. A broad-shouldered young bouncer pushed the customer out. "Idiot, go slip it off," the guard mumbled. "I do have money. I'm not a thief or a beggar," said John indignantly. "If you wanted to, you would have paid for it even with wrappers or leaves," laughed the bouncer. John took a closer look at the banknotes. The Bank of Jokes was printed on 5,000 banknote. It was a disaster. Since then, he began to vagabond. During the day, he walked around the dacha village, looking for work. He chopped wood, dug potatoes, cleaned the cesspools. The owner of the cottage felt sorry for him, paid him well, fed him. But in late fall, the village was empty. John got a job as a loader on the railroad. He had enough for bread and moonshine, but he had nowhere to shelter himself from the cold. Pinched by a cold, he wandered into the garage cooperative, where he met Michael. "You really don't need to drink, my dear child," the old man insisted. "You say you have grief. Your wife died. Your baby was not born. I understand. But I went through the same misfortune. Michael's son was a professional soldier. He was sent to another hot spot, where he died. Do you think things are easy for me? To raise a good, strong, handsome boy and then lose him? And there was nothing left from him. He didn't have time to get married, didn't have kids. But I can handle it. I'm working, trying to be useful. Think about it, Johnny." It was as if a veil had fallen from John's eyes. He took a look at himself and decided that this is no way to live like that. He continued to work as a loader. Having decided to save up money for some decent clothes, he had to restore the lost documents and get an official job, and then to become a normal person. John gave up drinking alcohol and even had no desire to do so anymore. He became good friends with Michael. He continued to stay overnight at the gatehouse, talking with the old man on many different topics, during long evenings while playing chess. 4 years went by like that. On one of the warm spring days, John was returning home from work to the gatehouse as usual. He took the shortest route through the dump this time. He got used to the smell a long time ago, but it was faster to get there. John saw an old tube TV on a sideboard. It looked like it was thrown away by someone. He decided to bring it to Michael so the old man could watch the news. The old man was excited. He took the wire and plugged it in. Unfortunately, nothing happened. "Nonsense, I know such devices. Let's figure it out," said Michael. He unscrewed the back cover and was stunned. There were no TV details inside. Instead, the TV was stuffed with tight cellophane packs. John opened one of them. There were dollars in a bank wrapper inside. The young man whistled and showed the money to Michael. "Wow," was the only thing the watchman could say. "Check them, aren't they fake?" suggested John, remembering how he had been tricked with the money. The money turned out to be real. The men were confused. There was a whole fortune in the TV set. "Here, take them. This is for your new life, Johnny," exclaimed Michael. All night long, the former homeless man, an alcoholic, could not sleep a wink. He was nor happy about the wealth. Who is happy with other people's money? What if someone was looking for it? And if those people are bandits? John decided to look for the owners of the money in the morning. With the help of small bribe, John found out where the tube TV came from, asking the garbage truck driver. "Why do you care? Who need this trash?" grunted the driver. "It was in the private sector at the dumpster on the Pionierskaya Street." John went to Pionierskaya Street. Garbage bins were near private houses. The man approached one of them. It was a strong stone house. Suddenly, rich mobs liked to build such ones at the beginning of the roaring 90s. He pressed the bell button, built into the strong walls of the brick fence. John didn't expect anyone like them. 2 people came out of the house. A man and a woman. Both of them were of such look that even John, who had seen a lot in his vagabond life, was surprised. The faces of the owners of this beautiful cottage were swollen from endless drinking. The man and the woman were wary. "What do you want here?" The man mumbled with a toothless mouth. Hello, are you the owners of this house? The drunken, ugly, filthy woman stood upright. Yes, so? Her housemate held back his beloved. Alice, don't lie. As long as the landlady is alive, we are nobody. Scruffy woman put her boyfriend in his place with foul language. After the 5th or 10th time, John hardly realized that the owners of the cottage was terminally ill and had been in a bed for 2 months. The drunks were her third cousins, uncle and aunt. They were the only relatives. As soon as we heard that Helen was dying, we came at once. Who if not us will help the poor orphaned girl? There is no father, no mother. Her fiancé left her, so we take care of her until she dies. John appreciated the care of the girl's uncle and aunt. They swooped down like kites, waiting for an opportunity to get rich. Did you happen to throw away the TV the other day? We did. It's trash. It didn't show anything, the man answered. Should I tell these people what I found? No way. John took a banknote out of his pocket. I picked up your TV, guys. It works perfectly. You should have thrown it away for nothing. I want to give money for it. The eyes of the aunt and uncle lighted up with anticipation of a drink. Friend, come inside. Alice will be on her way for a drink in a moment. The aunt rushed instantly to the store, and uncle took John to the cottage. The furnishing in the house was simple, without any pretense of luxury. Apparently the owner of dollar bills didn't want to spend money, leaving it for a rainy day. And where's your sick girl? Asked John. You want to get acquainted that bad? The drunkard grinned. She is upstairs, but there's nothing to look at. She's a goner. John went up the wooden stairs to a small room under the roof. In bed was a young, exhausted girl. She was so worn out from her illness that she was not even frightened of the man. Hello, Helen? Helen said hello quietly. John timidly sat down on the edge of the bed. His heart ached with pity for the unfortunate. The girl's face retained the vestiges of her former beauty, but her sharpened nose, black circles under her eyes, and her messy tangled hair spoke of her imminent death. It was obvious that Helen was poorly cared for. Stale linen, unwashed mugs on the bedside table, lack of medicine. How are you? Asked John. What do doctors say? The girl started crying. It turned out she had a tumor. The doctor to whom Helen went when she could walk insisted on repeated tests, but the girl lost heart and stopped the treatment. She was coping with the pain with the help of strong medications, and now even they don't help anymore. There is no money for anything, not even food. My uncle and aunt came, but all they do is drink. They rarely come to see me. They even give me something to drink once in a while. John quietly stroked Helen's thin arm. You need to continue the examination. Start the treatment and do not give up. There is money. There is a lot of money. I accidentally found it in the TV set thrown out of your house. The whole fortune. That's why I'm here, Helen. Helen struggled to get up on a pillow. So that's where the father hid the dollars. He didn't have time to tell us. He died. Helen's father was well-known criminal authority. He dreamed of going abroad to spend the rest of his days there, in peace and contentment. But he didn't make it. He was hit by a stray bullet during one of the gangster showdowns. The girl's mother then worked 2 jobs until she died, beating her last breath. She did not want to sell the house, afraid that her daughter would have nowhere to live, and she did not think about herself. For so many years, my mother had been doing her best earning pennies, and there was a lot of money in the pantry. The girl cried. All her life, all her life. John began to act. First, he kicked out her relatives. After that, the man contacted the doctor and sent Helen to the best hospital in the country for a checkup. He himself remained in the cottage. The house needed to be cleaned. John used other people's money wisely and responsibly. He did not spend a cent on his own needs. And then the good news came. The girl's tumor was quite operable, which means Helen will live. John called her every day and was glad to hear the girl's changed voice. Helen returned 6 months later, after undergoing the necessary stages of treatment and rehabilitation. The disease quickly gave way to the determined push of the doctors. John came out of the house to meet the girl. She was supposed to come up in a cab. The man was worried. He was standing at the gate when a car pulled up to Pioneersky Street. The door opened, and out of the car rushed a beautiful girl, unlike the one who was dying in a dirty bath 6 months ago. Helen approached John. Her lush hair lay on her shoulders in golden waves. Her eyes shone. A healthy blush played on her cheeks. "Hello, Johnny." The man was shy. He said hello quietly and tried to keep a business-like tone of conversation. "Your money, Helen, is safe and sound. I would advise you to transfer the funds to a personal account. The house is fine. I'm glad you're well. Goodbye." John shook hands with the girl and walked along Pioneersky Street away from the cottage. "Johnny, wait!" he heard her say and turned around. Helen hugged him tightly. "Please stay." "Helen, I'm sorry. I understand everything, but I can't work as a watchman anymore. I have no time," answered John, confused. "I don't need a watchman. I love you. You're the only reliable one for me," said Helen. A year later, John and Helen became husband and wife. Michael was the groom's honorary witness. At the wedding, guests noticed the rounded pregnant belly of the happy bride.